Hey, how are you going? Hope you're having a lovely day or night or whatever time of day it is you're listening to this. You are listening to the Body and Soul podcast called Extra Healthy-ish, the big sister podcast to Healthy-ish. I am Felicity Harley. Now, here at Body and Soul, we know health, fitness and wellness is really important to you, but we know you like to have fun. So we've designed this week's episodes of Extra Healthy-ish with a special festive season flavour. Yes, we're helping you survive Christmas with your health intact. On this episode, TV presenter, singer and former Miss World Erin Holland joins us to talk through her health and fitness non-negotiables. And also she's going to talk us through, well, what she's got planned for her health and fitness next year. Erin, thank you so much for coming on Extra Healthy-ish and welcome back. You've just arrived back from Abu Dhabi.
Yes.
Into
Thank
Sydney.
you so much for having me.
Now, firstly, I ask this question of everyone who comes on the podcast. How do you stay extra healthy-ish in your daily life?
I think it's all about just accepting the circumstances that you have and doing the best that you can. And by that, I mean, I love to work out every day if I can, but if I can't, that's okay. And it's not going to make a huge difference to my overall health and well-being. It's just accepting that sometimes actually sleeping is probably better for me than getting up at 4 a.m. before a massive day. So for me, it's been a journey of finding what works for me and my body, finding ways to stay motivated so that I am being consistent and being kind to myself on the days that I can't. So yeah, I think everyone's journey to what health and fitness looks like for them is different. And for me, it's taken some time, but I feel like I'm in a really good place with the way that I'm, trying to move my body every day, what I'm eating, and trying to cope with doing all of that when you're never in the same place for 2 days in a row.
Yeah, exactly. So my next question was, what does healthy living mean to you? I mean, you talked a bit about a journey then. Tell us, perhaps a bit about that journey and how you've come to being, you sound like you're quite in balance now.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think it's for me, it's finding the kinds of exercise that really works for me. Like I'm someone who really enjoys my weights training. I feel really good and really strong on it. I'm someone who really actually enjoys eating good quality nutritious foods now, which is great. Like I've really trained myself to love all of those things that are really good for me, but I have a sweet tooth and that's okay too. And, finding a happy medium with things like alcohol. I'm not someone who really likes to drink very much and I keep that to nice and special occasions only, and that works for me, and I don't feel like I'm missing out. So I think it's finding things that make you feel good, because at the end of the day, all we want to do is feel good, and what is fit and healthy looks different on everyone, and that's, I think, really important to note as well. There's no point going, I'm not a marathon runner and I never will be. Running is just not something that I enjoy, but I really love my weights training, and that seems to work for me and help me feel really great. So yeah, I think it's all a very individual journey, and it's easy to get caught up with the fads and the photos and the things that we see on social media, but that person that you're looking at is not you. And at the end of the day, you've only got one body. You've got to treat it with kindness and respect and look after yourself. So I think I'm always happy to share what I'm doing and what works for me, but I really encourage everyone to sort of embrace the journey and really figure out what it is that works for them and makes them feel as fantastic as they can, because we only have this one body, so really got to be kind to
Absolutely. I think that's good advice, because I think often when we are scrolling through Instagram or reading about the latest trends and we think, oh, that sounds good, that would work for me. I mean, she looks amazing, she looks healthy, she looks fit, but I think you can try these things, you can try them out and see if they work for you, and then you might realize, well, no, I don't really want to drink green juice every morning or do this every night, or that just doesn't work. So tell us perhaps some of your non-negotiables. So a few things that you do every day, every week that you just have to do because otherwise you won't function.
So I've really learned that morning exercise is my thing. If I leave it to the afternoon, I will make an excuse, I will get busy and I won't do it. So my routine is get up, I'll grab my supplements for the day. Like I've got a couple of things that I do like to take every day because it just makes me feel great.
What are those? What do you take every day?
So I've got a multivitamin. I like to take collagen as well. I'm taking Healthy Care collagen, which is just really great for skin, hair, nails, skin elasticity, that inner glow, which we're all loving at the moment, which is great. I like to take my vitamin C, a good multivitamin, which is good. So a couple of things that I like to leave handy, because then I'll know I'll do it. If I get up and do it first thing in the morning, I know I'll do it. And then I'll take myself for my exercise for the morning, whether or not that's PT, weights training, maybe a little bit of a run, whatever it is that I can get in for that day, I'll do. And that's usually around sort of 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how time poor I am. And then I'll get myself ready for my day. But, those little things that I do every morning, if I pop it into my routine, then I know it's done for the day and I can sort of relax on that front. So, that's definitely helped, having that little bit of a morning routine in place, because, I think it's just knowing yourself. And I know that I will procrastinate and I won't do it if I leave it to the afternoon.
It is. It's funny, isn't it? Because we're all so different. I mean, I've tried that, but I know that I am not a morning person. I get the best exercise either in the middle of the day or later on in the afternoon, evening. And, I've tried the morning, but I just can't do it.
But you also have children. Like, I'm by myself, which is great.
Yeah.
So, like, my mornings are my own still. Like, I'm sure that will change one day if I'm ever lucky enough to have kids. But for me at the moment, I drag myself out of bed and like autopilot. I don't even think about it. I just put my gym gear on and I head out the door. So that's what's worked for me. And that's actually something that I've really learned during this sort of COVID times, as well, as someone who's never had a routine. Implementing some sort of routine in my life is actually what's helped me get through lockdown. So
there we go.
taking those things that are going to help with my sort of health and well-being, like those supplements in the morning, getting up and doing that workout, that sort of regulates, I think, my mind and gives myself some sort of routine within my day. And that's been really helpful for my mental health as well, because health and fitness is mental health as much as it is physical well-being. So it's all encompassing, I find.
So I mean, you're on the road a lot traveling. How do you maintain fitness, particularly while you're traveling, and health and food? I mean, you're in these different cultures, different environments. How do you manage all this?
So with fitness, I find having availability to, programs or apps or things that really give me options to be able to work out no matter where I am. I actually have an app called Shift with Erin, which has come out in the last 12 months, which is basically your own little mini pocket PT. And that's awesome because it's just got workouts no matter what you've got availability to, whether it's, literally no gym equipment whatsoever. There's body weight stuff, there's HIIT workouts. Like I was saying, if I need to do 50 burpees in my room because that's the only space I have in my four walls, that's okay. And basically it just gives me options that I can utilize no matter where I am. And so those excuses that I think we all give ourselves sometimes, like, oh, I can't get to a gym, I can't do that, or oh, I can't do this, that won't fit in. I've got no excuses because it's literally on my phone there in front of me, and they're only 15-minute workouts. So I can do 2 or 3 and then I'm done, or even 1 if I've only got 15 minutes to get done.
Yeah, how do you stay motivated when you can't be bothered? I love that question, because so many of us just are like, oh, I can't be bothered today, I'm not going to do it. So how do you get yourself going?
It's that notion of, you do know how good you'll feel once it's done. I always enjoy that post-workout feel. We know that you release endorphins when you exercise. That makes you feel better. I've trained myself to remember that feeling of what it's like when it's done, and that definitely motivates me to sort of get to that point. And I just feel better within my body as well when I've had that bit of exertion in the day. So so I think it's ticking it off on your bucket list, even put it into your calendar, like your to-do list for the day. I'm someone who likes to get everything done and tick everything off the list. So making sure it's just part of one of my chores for the day, I think that's really good. And it's just now just become routine for me, and I find that works for me. Everyone's very different, and different things motivate you, but for me, I think achieving that on my to-do list gives me not only self-satisfaction that I've completed my day, but I know I'll feel better for it in the long run. So it's consistency and just reminding myself that I'll thank myself for it later if I do it.
We'll be back after this short break with more from Erin. Now, you appeared on SAS Australia. Tell us about this experience. I thought it was actually, when I was, researching you to ask you questions, I found it really interesting that you were just your training to act before you actually got there, how you wanted to put on weight. You worked with Ben Lucas. Tell us a bit about this, and then the whole experience and what you learnt from it.
My gosh, well, SAS was just the most unbelievable,
hardcore,
incredible
I think.
experience. And what I always say to everyone is it's so much harder than it looks on TV, because you're only seeing a 90-minute snapshot of a 24-hour period, and they thrashed us. Like there was literally no off. There's no cut of the camera. You never see a producer. You literally just have a lived experience for 24 hours a day that happens to be filmed. So it's so genuine. I can't sort of express that enough. But for me, I'm someone who likes to keep fit and healthy, but I'm not an athlete. And I was in there with the bloody Olympic Village. I swear to God, like everyone in there.
Actually, you were, weren't you?
I watched you wear gold medal. I know, like it was mind blowing. So, for me, you only get 8 or 9 weeks notice before these shows as well, which is just the nature of how these things work. And 8 or 9 weeks is not a very long time to change your training from, look good, feel good, move your body every day, health and well-being, fitness, to I need to be an endurance athlete like in 2 months' time. So for me, it was, oh my gosh, okay. So I know they're going to thrash me, they're going to starve us, they're going to, work us to the bone. I need to bulk up as much as I can. I need to, work on my cardio. Because of my slight frame, I've always been about trying to put on shape and muscle and curves. Like I'm still trying to grow a booty. It's been years. Hopefully one day we'll get there. But, for me, it was literally, getting on the protein, and really making sure that I'm taking the right supplements, because with this extra training that I was doing, I actually found that my body was suffering from a little bit of dehydration and a drop in the potassium, because I was sweating so much more doing, running around the hills of Coogee with a 20-kilo weights vest on, trying to get up that cardio sort of fitness in a really, really quick period of time. So I actually found that I had to listen to my body even more so than I was doing, because I was depleting the good stuff that I was putting in. So I actually started having to take, there's a new thing out from Barocca, which is awesome. I usually take a Barocca most mornings as well, but there's a thing called Barocca Sport now, which is vitamin C and B, as well as hydrolytes. So I was actually, at one point, my doctor said to me, you're losing too much through your sweat. You actually need to start just having, hydrolyte drinks 24/7. So you're actually putting that good stuff back into your body. So yes, I started having, the Barocca Sports every day. I was having protein. I was,
you were loading up.
Powders. I was trying to load up as much as I could, just to try and be able to cope. But yeah, it was, training 3 or 4 hours a day for about 8 weeks before the show. And, obviously there's only so much you can do in a short period of time, but I had to do everything I could to try and survive, essentially. But yeah, it was a really,
and what
really
did you learn from
experience.
Yeah, what did you learn from it? Looking back, what did you learn about you, I suppose?
I think that the thing I learned about myself most is, going in, I knew that I was quite a mentally strong person. Like I knew that I'm not someone who has fears of heights or heights or getting tear gas like we did when we were in there.
Yeah, or
I don't,
being drowned. Wasn't that? Didn't they sink a car?
Yeah,
and that was the
yeah.
that would be my worst nightmare.
They drowned us in a Land Rover.
Yeah, that's it.
But, I have a healthy respect for those sorts of things, but I'm not scared of those things. So I knew mentally I thought I'd be quite strong, but physically I would struggle. And it was actually quite, comforting in a way to come out of the experience and realize that I had the self-awareness to understand myself and where my shortcomings would be. And that's exactly what happened to me on the show. Like I got to a point where I just couldn't physically continue. He tried to get me to pick up Dan Ewing, who weighs 91 kilos, on my shoulders after a 9-hour day and an hour and a half feasting, and I just couldn't physically do it. So I kind of came out of that experience going, yeah, well, I sort of thought that would be what would be my undoing, and I was right. And for me, I'm someone who I'm very hard on myself, and I'm very much a perfectionist, and I like to do things 110% effort and go above and beyond. But there's some things that you're just not built for, and that's okay. But it's also not a reason to not try. So
yeah, good point.
I think for me it was just a very humbling experience to put myself up for something that I knew I probably wasn't going to be amazing at, but that's okay. And in life we're not good at everything. And I think it was a really good experience for me to put myself out of my comfort zone or watch myself back on TV going, oh my God. But yeah, it was everything that I'd sort of envisioned it would be. And if someone had said to me, would you want to do it again tomorrow? I'd sign myself up now, but I'd be starting training now.
Early, yeah. No, I think that I actually think those are really wise words because, so often we don't try things through fear of failure. And, sometimes we need to know our limitations and be self-aware enough to know your shortcomings. And I think the fact that you've just been honest and open about that is really important and should be inspiration for all of us just to give things a go. I mean, well done for doing it.
Thank you. And how often in life do you ever walk into something knowing unequivocally I'm going to be having a life-changing experience? And that's what it was. How can you say no to that? As much as it was physically painful. And I put a photo up on my Instagram of the day that I left. I'm literally black and blue, covered in bruises. And people go, but why would you want to do that? I said, because I've never felt more alive than when I was getting thrown out of a helicopter or thrown into a gas chamber.
When you get thrown out of a helicopter.
To say, but it really was. And it's sparked a new sort of, I suppose, a change in the way that I do approach my health and fitness. And our bodies are capable of so much more than we give ourselves credit for. So I'm starting to continue to just push myself that little bit further whenever I do, undertake my PT session or my training for the day, and just get that little bit more out of my workout and my body, because I now know that I'm capable of it. And it was really inspiring to be around, so many of these incredible athletes and just appreciate how much the human body can take and what they can do. So yeah, it was an amazing experience. And as I said, I do it again tomorrow. Whether or not that makes me absolutely crazy, I'm not sure. But
no, actually, it's funny. You just reminded me of a podcast. I interviewed a former strength and conditioning coach, and he runs a gym chain now. And it was a couple of weeks ago, and I asked him, what's one thing you wish people did more of in the gym? And he said they don't push themselves hard enough. So you're evidence that, we can push ourselves harder, but we choose not to, whether it be the gym or an SAS Australia or wherever in life, you can go a little bit further.
Yeah, Billy Birmingham, who's one of the DS on the show, he's got an amazing book, but always a little further is his catchphrase. And I really encourage people to listen to that if they haven't yet, because it's a really wonderful, wonderful book and incredibly motivating, because you can always go a little bit further. And I think that applies not only to obviously your health and your fitness, but so many things in life is, my husband Ben always says to me, get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's kind of like his little catchphrase. But it's true, the growth comes when you do push yourself past what is comfortable and what is your comfort zone. So that's definitely something that I've learned from that experience.
Okay, with that in mind, last question. Getting through Christmas, the new year, I mean, you've had an extraordinary year pushing yourself further. What's on the cards for health and fitness goals for next year?
I think it's maintaining the good things that I've been sort of practicing this year as well. I think with all the lockdowns and things like that, we have had a little bit more time at home, a little bit more routine, more of an opportunity to create those good habits because life hasn't gotten in the way. So for me, it's continuing those good practices that I've been doing, whether or not it's getting up and doing my morning workouts and making sure that I'm taking, my supplements that make me feel better, each and every day. It's making sure that I'm connecting with people and friends, because obviously, we've spent so much time apart physically this year. We've had to make more of an effort to maintain our friendships and our relationships. And I think it's as life, fingers crossed, praying goes back to some sort of normality, that we don't, I don't lose those good routines for myself that I've sort of, created in the last 2 years of life. And I hope that this is, something that we've all learned from. It's been a really difficult 2 years, and we've all got to band together and be there for each other and just, get through things together and support one another. And I hope that as the world goes back to some sort of normality, that, we don't lose those relationships and those good practices of self-care and looking after one another that we've learned. So
absolutely.
I think hopefully it's more of the same.
Yeah, and actually I think you're right. We've learnt the real meaning of self-care, haven't we, these past 2 years. Erin, thank you so much for coming on Extra Healthy-ish.
Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for listening to this chat with Erin. She had some really great advice, I thought, on self-awareness, knowing your shortcomings through self-awareness and being able to push through them, take risks and do it anyway. I hope you got some great tips out of this as well. Thank you for listening to my chat with Erin. If you want any more chats from us, we have got Extra Healthy-ish other episodes up right now. You can download those, or our little sister podcast, Healthy-ish, they're up too. You can log on to bodyandsoul.com.au for more great health, fitness and nutrition advice. Or you can join the conversation via Body and Soul on Instagram or Facebook. Thanks again for joining us as always. And if you have a moment, we'd be so grateful if you could rate, review and subscribe to this podcast. And from us at Body and Soul at Extra Healthy-ish, have an amazing, fun, festive season.